And we're bringing out the heavy hitters. The guy calling the game this weekend, Bills-Chiefs for the NFL on CBS. It is Jim Nantz joining us again, kind enough to make a return engagement with us after he previewed the Week 14 matchup, which, man, you had enough highlights in that one to put on a reel, and you didn't need anything else. You might get it again this week, Jim.
Yeah, I don't see why we wouldn't. Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Steve. Hello, friends. I'm so excited about this game. You know, it feels like it should be played the next week, back into the AFC Championship position. But, hey, listen, I don't think it surprised anybody to see the winner of this game go on to the Super Bowl and maybe even win it. So what a performance last week by your Bills. It was amazing to watch.
Yeah, and it was matched all too closely by the Chiefs' performance against Pittsburgh. I mean, both these teams come to this game sprinting. It's reminiscent of the Monday night game in 2018 with the Rams and the Chiefs when it was both of them scored 50 points, and it's like, wow, this is the new NFL. This is what it's going to look like. It doesn't happen very often, but man, oh man, with these teams playing like they are, it could.
It's one of those things. I sometimes get this feeling, particularly I get it during the NCAA basketball tournament. You watch two great teams on a collision course, and they meet Monday night. I walk to the arena and I think, how is one of these teams going to walk away with a loss? It's just inconceivable to me that whichever team it is isn't the champion. And I kind of feel like that about this one now. It's inconceivable to think that we're going to lose one of these two in the divisional round, but we will. And it's just it's a very big matchup at this stage of it. And you're right, they're both peaking. Nobody could play a better game than the Bills did last week. And, I mean, that was just like perfection. And the Chiefs are riding high. You know, they fixed their defense since their Week 5 matchup against Buffalo. It's a different defense. They gave up the fewest points from that point forward after that game. And Mahomes is doing his thing. Josh is sensational, and I can't wait to see it.
Does it surprise you, Jim, because knowing what a team sport football is, the trade that Kansas City made for Melvin Ingram seemed to be a major catalyst in setting everything right again with that Chiefs defense. Obviously, we know it allowed them to move Chris Jones back inside where he is clearly at his best. But you talk to people that cover the Chiefs, and I'm sure you'll be talking to the coaching staff this week, his addition has been borderline seismic for changing the fortunes of that defense. It's amazing.
I don't know what went wrong in Pittsburgh. It's shocking to me that they gave up on him so early. I would have thought he would have been a huge help to them this year with, Bud Dupree leaving in free agency and the whole thing, but he didn't last long. And he went down to Kansas City. You're right. You can almost trace it back to when he began playing for that defense with Spagnuolo. And I asked Steve a couple of weeks ago about Melvin, and he said, you know what? I've always liked players who play angry. And he said, that's Melvin Ingram. He plays angry. And he said there are two or three other guys on the defense, but he specifically feels like he kind of sets that mood for those that are inclined to approach it that way with a little anger on the field. That's not to say they're not within themselves. It's just the way he approaches it. I always liked him as a player when he was with the Chargers. And Steve, I know, you saw him a ton too through the years. And I always thought he was a little bit kind of neglected in terms of on a national scope. I always thought he was a very good talent. And again, Pittsburgh, they didn't have much use for him for very long. And Kansas City's got themselves a real gem now.
Yeah, and it seems like the perfect move at the perfect time. Is this Chiefs team really, they're on the cusp of history here, trying to go to 4 straight AFC championship games, go to 3 straight Super Bowls. It's a short list of teams that have done it. And they have, and you go back and look at all of those teams, they all had maybe a little bit of a unique recipe, but there's no question over the past 6 years with Andy Reid in Kansas City, they have had, with Pat Mahomes, they have had a recipe that has put them always at the pinnacle of contenders and people who are expected to go to the Super Bowl. How have they been able to maintain it for this long and been this good? Because we've seen other teams. The Patriots have never really, it's been maybe once in their history that they were able to even come close to this. The Dallas Cowboys back in the day. It's really special to put a group of guys like that together. Why has this Chiefs team been so dominant?
It's going to start with the quarterback. I'm not going to shortchange Andy here at all, but you said, what is it? Because Andy's always been innovative. He's always done things that, like you say, wow, I've never seen that before. Why hasn't somebody else tried to play like that? I do see innovation, by the way, as I see the clip you just put in there, that little underhand toss. It's a beautiful thing to see. But Kyle Shanahan at San Francisco, you walk away from one of his games and say, that looks different. The running attack, just what you think is an ordinary running attack, there's nothing ordinary about it. It's just got a flair to it. It's got innovation. But I think it gets back to they have to have the leader on the field, and in this case, Mahomes, who has the hunger to be great. They can give him the contract that's worth $500 million and hasn't changed him a bit. And I knew it wouldn't because I've gotten to know him a little bit. He has the desire to be one of the all-time greats. These guys today are coming along, Josh, Patrick, Justin Herbert. They watch Tom Brady. It's kind of like every young golfer today. They want to be the next Tiger Woods. They all want to be the next Tom Brady. They don't want to go win just one Super Bowl. They want to win 6 or 7 or 8. They want iconic, legendary, lasting place in history. Mahomes wants that. I guarantee you Josh wants the same thing. So if you don't have that at your most important position, the team's going to be a reflection of that. He leads the way. He is he's the catalyst on all of that in terms of the mentality of it.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
Talking with NFL on CBS, number one play-by-play man Jim Nantz will be calling Bills Chiefs 6:30 p.m. on Sunday on CBS. And Jim, you've called a ton of these, and I think sometimes, not all the time, but some of the time, the team that emerges victorious from these games are the ones who have the role players that can deliver a big play in a big spot. All the attention of the Bills defense is going to be paid to Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. The Chiefs defense is going to be trying to put Stephon Diggs on lockdown. But you have these emerging young players for both of these offenses. Dawson Knox, Devin Singletary, 2 third-year players for Buffalo. Byron Pringle is now becoming a true number 2 receiver for the Chiefs. Are you anticipating perhaps the difference maker being one of those types of players in this game?
How about Isaiah McKenzie?
Yeah.
I mean, Chris, he's been, since the game at New England on the 26th of December, this guy's been just a huge part of it. I mean, he's been a real huge presence for them. I've loved Dawson Knox, the way he plays all season long. And, he had the injury halfway through the year, and I think he's probably feeling healthier now than he probably has since the first time since the start of the season. There are a lot of weapons there. And who is it going to be? I don't know. I mean, look at McKinnon. Look at Jerick McKinnon from Kansas City last week. I mean, this is a guy that I had, 5 Kansas City games maybe during the regular season. Maybe he was on the field for one of those one play. And now he had 142 yards of scrimmage yards last week. So, you don't know. There's going to be somebody that's going to step up and make a play or two. But ultimately, we've got 2 guys that are still early in their career who are leading these efforts, who I've had the great fortune of getting to know both of them quite well. I've played golf with both of the quarterbacks. Not that that's worth anything, but you get to know people when you're out on the golf course. I've played with both Pat and Josh. And they're extremely good people because look what Josh has meant to your community. He's just an awesome guy. And Pat is too. And I'm just excited that we're on the AFC side of the ledger and that we have all these guys in our package at CBS. We're just starting the next long-term, 9, 10, and 11-year contract it is. And, we're going to see this matchup again in the postseason. We are. We're going to see it probably a lot of times.
Yeah,
and
you're right. Yeah,
this is not. I used to have to talk the Cleveland fans a little bit off the ledge that, hey, they got into the playoffs last year and they're ready to win the Super Bowl this year. I reminded them there were teams still that were pretty good in Kansas City and Buffalo, but you're going to have a good run because you got a foundation, a roster that's decent. You've kind of fortified the roster. But now I look at these rosters like Buffalo and Kansas City. You truly, truly have the makings of a really fun stretch here for the next 10 years plus. I believe it.
Yeah, you talk about these two coaches, Andy Reid and Sean McDermott, and certainly they have built programs that are sustainable and successful. And now you've got Eric Bieniemy, Brian Daboll, Leslie Frazier, Steve Spagnuolo. These guys are probably teams are going to start headhunting these guys for the head coaching jobs that are out there. I think both these guys, particularly Andy Reid, who has been able to sustain this throughout. He calls his own plays, and kind of as a result, he doesn't really risk losing. Eric Bieniemy's loss may not hurt the Chiefs as much as Brian Daboll's loss would hurt the Bills because of the fact that Andy is so much a part of that offense. What do you see in these coordinators and plus their role in making these teams peak at the right time?
When we have these teams, we always ask for both of these coordinators. Big fan of all four of them. And, I think it seems like last year was going to be Bieniemy's time to get a job. So I'm going to guess that it's this year. And I think Buffalo is going to lose one of the two guys, if not both of them. But, hey, it's good to know you got Sean McDermott. I mean, you guys hit on it there. I mean, there's the guy. I mentioned Cleveland a minute ago. Cleveland had a chance to get him, from my understanding, and they didn't go with him. And you got yourself a great one there. So, yeah, are they important? I mean, my gosh, Leslie Frazier, I would love to see him get a second crack at it. Brian, I'd love to see him get a first crack at it. I think he truly is an offensive genius, and I think he has been tremendous in the development of Josh as an all-around quarterback. So, yeah, I don't know. That makes you, as a fan, think, man, we've got this thing set up. We've got the staff, we got the players, and I think both, again, so much similarity between these teams. I really, truly think that the team that wins this game, I give them pretty close to a 50% chance to win the whole thing. I'm not talking the AFC. I'm talking about going ahead and winning the Super Bowl. I think this game's just loaded with a great team emerging from this, and it's going to be very hard to stop down the road.
Last one for me, Jim. It's an interesting narrative here in Buffalo with respect to their defense. Number one, almost across the board in a multitude of categories, even some of those advanced numbers down the line, completion percentage against and passer rating against. They're number one in all of those too. But they seem to carry this chip. I think they still, whether it's realistic or not, they've convinced themselves that on a national stage, they still get no respect. Now, that might just be a self-motivation tactic, but since you are on the national stage and we suffer from Bills myopia, what do you make of that contention?
I think they have a good case, Chris, and I definitely have it in my plans to bring it up, that this team has not been given the individual recognition and the overall team recognition that they deserve. When you look at what they've done statistically, how they play together as a team, I mean, it's just off the charts. And again, this starts with Sean. We know what McDermott's background is with defense all the way back to his days at Philadelphia with Jimmy Johnson. So no Pro Bowl players, really? I mean, the Pro Bowl's turned into a joke. So, I mean, you hate to even give it credit. I've grappled mentally as I think about how we're going to get into this game and some of the talking points. But if you want to judge it by snubs, I mean, I guess that's a good place to start. I think it speaks really to the system now of how you vote for the Pro Bowl. But I mean, Josh Allen's not. He's an alternate. I mean, seriously, really? Oh, okay. Try explaining that one to me. So, you know what? If they're playing the chip, as a fan, as part of the Bills Mafia, if you're part of it, you'd rather your team be playing with a chip right now and have nobody on the Pro Bowl roster if that's what it's going to take for you to win a Super Bowl. Because this team's totally capable of winning a Super Bowl. And listen, it's human nature. We're all going to take those slights. Absolutely. They don't think I'm that good? Well, I'll show them. I'll show them. They got a very big stage here on Sunday night to show a lot of people just how good they are. And I think they will.
Yeah. Jim, My friend, thanks so much for coming on with us. Enjoyed. Travel really safely out there to Kansas City. Hopefully, the best case scenario is you'll be coming to Buffalo the next week.
Ooh.
So travel safe.
Wherever I
Thanks
am
so
next
much.
week, I've had this one in my head, Stevie. Next week, because the 18-week season, it's now impacted the PGA Tour season on the West Coast. Next week is the traditional week of the Torrey Pines event, beautiful La Jolla, California, a CBS event. So CBS now moves the golf to a Saturday night finish in prime time. So Torrey Pines, the Farmers Insurance Open, is going to be a Friday, Saturday night prime time affair, ending Saturday night. I'm going to call the golf from the AFC Championship game stadium. Now, to me, all right, if it's in Nashville, if they beat Cincinnati, it'll be here. And, could be at Arrowhead. Right. But the image I have in my head that would make this thing really interesting would be to call the golf tournament from the stadium in Buffalo, from Orchard Park, with snowbanks ringing
That is exactly right.
the field.
And I hope that is a story you get to tell your grandkids. That would be the
ultimate, look how you're calling a golf tournament 2,500 miles away. It's 70 degrees and sunshine, and it's 0 in Buffalo, and there's a snowbank 10 feet high. Hello, friends. Welcome to the PGA Tour on CBS.
That would be – you can write a book about that one.
That is good.
It's going to be fun. So wherever it is, if it's Buffalo, I think it's got the most kind of perfect, if you will, blend of calling golf from afar in a snowbank stadium. It
awesome.
Sounds right to me. I don't know.
Thanks again, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Appreciate it. We look forward to the
Great
call
to be with
on
you
Sunday.
Guys. Good luck,
Travel
everybody.
safe. Travel
All
safe.
right.